If I asked you, who has the smoothest handles you've ever seen, who would you say? I suppose it depends on when you were born. To older basketball heads, Pistol Pete Maravich or Isiah Thomas might be the first name that comes to mind. For 2000s kids, you would hear a lot of Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, Tim Hardaway, and Jason Williams. And most fans in the present day would answer Kyrie Irving, almost as a reflex more than anything. But what if I told you that in the mid-2000s, a lanky 6'5" guard from Seattle had the league on skates? It's time we introduce you to one of the NBA's most beloved players, a hooper's hooper if there ever was one. Today, we're talking about Jamal Crawford, one of the silkiest ball handlers the game has ever seen. To earn a nickname like Jay Crossover, you've got to be putting some insane highlights on tape. But long before Jamal Crawford was lighting up the biggest stages in basketball, dropping 50 points at Madison Square Garden and the like, he was just a kid from the south end of Seattle who only ever cared about playing ball. Jamal split his childhood between Seattle, where his mother lived, and Los Angeles, where his father lived in the 1990s, always with a ball at his side. Both West Coast cities had rich basketball cultures, with the Supersonics and Lakers leading the way. Unfortunately, ball was too much of a priority for the young Crawford, who spent most of his days on the court instead of in the classroom, which made him academically ineligible for his freshman season in LA. Regardless, having devoted so much of his time and energy to the game, Jamal wasn't short on confidence. Mike Wise of Anscape recalls how in the mid-1990s, Jamal Crawford sat opposite a teenage Paul Pierce in an LA barbershop and began flapping his gums at one of the nation's top recruits, who was 2 years his senior. For context, Crawford was yet to play a single game of high school ball. He was failing the 10th grade. In response, Paul Pierce asked the youngster why he was hanging around the barbershop instead of in school. A few months later, Pierce was halfway across the country playing for the Kansas Jayhawks, a rude awakening for Jamal Crawford, who realized that he needed to change course before it was too late. He moved back north to Seattle and immediately sought to get his grades up so that he could represent Rainier Beach High School. Jamal managed more than just that, winning the Vikings a Washington State championship in 1998 and helping them reach the state semis the following year. Crawford was ranked the second best point guard in the country, averaging 22.3 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 7 assists per game as a senior, committing to the Fresno State Bulldogs. In order to make up for his academic struggles early in high school, Crawford had to take on an extra year to meet the graduation requirements, playing AAU to keep himself busy. But I'll let the man himself explain in his own words how he eventually flipped his commitment.
I played AAU 2 years of my life. I played AAU in my 5th grade year. They've always kept 10 traditionally. I was the 10th guy on the team. And my mom was like, go get better. And I'm like, you're right, I gotta go get better. My skill was there, but the intensity of AAU and travel, I wasn't there yet. I've always been a thin dude, so I'm like, I'm just gonna get better, go get better. And then my last year, I'm the best player in the state. Everybody kind of knows it. And this story's gonna mess you up. And I'm gonna send you guys some footage to match this. But I make the A team, quote unquote, right? We always kept 2 teams. I had guys on the team that thought they could do what I do. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go to the B team. Playing the back gyms in Vegas and California is the Pump Classic and big time at the time. I made All-American from the B team. And that's when Michigan came. That's when I became a national thing. The back gym, I had every college coach in the country there after I blew up in that time period. In 2 weeks, bro, I went from just a local guy to a nationally known, I guess. That's crazy, and that's how it went down.
And just like that, Jamal became a Michigan Wolverine for the 1990 to 2000 season. He had developed into a complete scorer, utterly mesmerizing with the ball in his hands, putting defenders on skates game in and game out. But Jamal wasn't done serving time off the court yet. The NCAA ruled that during his time at Rainier Beach, his mother had authorized Jamal to live with a Seattle businessman who had allegedly provided preferential treatment and benefits because of his skill, which breached the governing body's rules. As a result, Crawford, who had been leading the Wolverines in scoring up until early February with 16.7 points per game, was suspended for 16 games. But that made little difference. He was ready to make his dreams come true and declared for the 2000 NBA draft. Jamal Crawford was selected 8th overall by the Cavaliers, but was traded to the Chicago Bulls shortly thereafter. Coincidentally, Michael Jordan was contemplating a comeback during the 2000 offseason and invited the Bulls' first-round rookie to work out with him on many occasions. All of a sudden, Crawford was living the high life, right alongside one of his childhood idols. It was a dream come true on so many levels. However, he struggled to keep up with the GOAT's off-court lifestyle, and soon found himself in heaps of debt before the NBA season even tipped off. Although he was eventually able to clear his debts, it had started Crawford off on the wrong foot in the Windy City. As a rookie, the 20-year-old struggled to adapt to the league, averaging just 4.6 points, shooting 35% from the field while starting only 8 games. While he was able to double his scoring average in his sophomore effort, it was cut short by an ACL tear in February, a devastating injury. But at this point, Crawford wasn't going to let that stop his momentum. He was exactly where he had always dreamed of being, and got right back to work. In his return from injury, Jamal posted 10.7 points per game, with a much improved 41% field goal percentage. Finally, ahead of the 2003-04 season, Crawford was named the starting shooting guard for the Chicago Bulls, and NBA fans finally caught a glimpse of his full potential. Averaging 17.3 points per game, 5.1 assists, 3.5 rebounds, and 1.4 steals was a remarkable feat as a 24-year-old on a rebuilding team. This was Chicago's 6th consecutive season without surpassing the 30-win mark, yet in Jamal Crawford, they had found an exciting piece to build around for the future. Or so we thought. For all of Crawford's incredible handles and scoring outbursts, including a 50-point outing in one of the final games of the season, his breakout 2003-2004 campaign meant that his price had gone up significantly. Entering the last year of his rookie deal, with a coach in Scott Skiles, whose structured style of play didn't perfectly align with Crawford's improvisational approach to the game, Jamal was traded to the New York Knicks. His debut season in the Big Apple saw Crawford's statistics decline across the board as he struggled to adapt to a mid-season coaching change. Crawford was the Knicks' second leading scorer behind their mercurial point guard Stephon Marbury in one of the league's most exciting young backcourts. However, in the 2005-06 season, Crawford was demoted from starter to 6th man. New coach Larry Brown wanted a tough defensive team, but Crawford still had a place in this lineup, averaging over 32 minutes per game as a useful offensive weapon, once again finishing behind only Stephon Marbury in points and assists per game. When Isiah Thomas took over head coaching duties in 2006, Crawford was meant to take on an even bigger role as the team's leading scorer, and he was absolutely on course to do just that, dropping 52 points on Miami in January. This wasn't just any 50-point performance, however. I'll let D. Wade explain.
Jamal Crawford. I have never seen a player go off like this. He hit 17 buckets in a row. In the garden. He had that thing on the string. He just play with you. He don't say nothing to you neither. He just, you like, oh shit. Please, miss. Hella arc. Yeah.
That's not even to mention the fact that Crawford was pulled with 7 minutes left to play. Imagine the MSG records he would hold if he had been kept in. When the two sides met again in February, Crawford hit a clutch three-pointer to seal the game. Unfortunately, with the Knicks finally in the playoff hunt, Crawford suffered a stress fracture in his ankle against Miami, which caused him to miss the remainder of the regular season. But Isiah Thomas had seen enough. When Crawford returned to full fitness, he was reinstated as a starter in the 2007-08 campaign, where he enjoyed the best statistical season of his career. Jay Crossover led the Knicks with his 20.6 points and 5 assists per game. New York struggled, with just 23 wins on the season, but at this point, not even a head coaching change could slow Crawford's momentum. At 28, he had finally hit his stride, averaging 19.7 points, 4.4 assists, and 3 rebounds per game. But just as he had appeared to find his footing as a regular contributor, Crawford was moved along once again. After 11 games of the 2008-09 season, the Knicks traded their star guard to the Warriors in exchange for Al Harrington, in order to free up cap space. LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony were being lined up as dream free agents in 2010. In the Bay Area, Crawford continued his great run of form. As the starter, his averages stayed high, and he was able to notch the third 50-point game of his career against the Charlotte Bobcats. When he got hot, there was absolutely no stopping him. Head coach Don Nelson's fast-paced, offensive style of play seemed to suit him perfectly, but not even the Warriors felt the need to hold on to him, trading Crawford to the Hawks once again to save cap space. After all, they had just drafted a certain Steph Curry. In Atlanta, Jamal enjoyed a career renaissance. His sixth-man status had been restored, but for an even greater return than before. In 2009-10, the Hawks were spearheaded by Joe Johnson, Josh Smith, and Al Horford, with a now 9-year veteran Jamal Crawford able to lead out a formidable second unit to wreak havoc on the entire league. Despite literally never starting, Crawford averaged 18 points and 3 assists per game to help Atlanta to a 53-29 record, earning them the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. Not only was this Crawford's first time in the playoffs, but also his first winning season in the NBA. He led all bench players in scoring, which earned him the 6th Man of the Year award for his efforts, as the ultimate microwave scorer. Jeff Teague explained just how staggering Jamal Crawford's scoring ability was.
When I first watched him play, you know me, I was an arrogant, little cocky, little young dude. And he came to the team and he was kind of chilling in preseason. Like, we was doing workouts and shit. Yeah. And we was hooping 5-on-5. I'm like, nigga, I'm nicer than this nigga, man. Damn. He just shoot a lot. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, man, I'm faster. I get where I want to get. And then he finally played serious one game. I was like, oh, that nigga don't miss. Okay, that's the difference. He don't miss too many shots. I'm missing. And he's 6'5". Okay, no wonder he playing over me.
In his first trip to the playoffs, he helped close out a 7-game series against the Bucks with a 22-point surge, although they were swept by Orlando in the conference semis. The following season, Crawford remained a major role player for the Hawks, who once again reached the conference semifinals, but fell to D Rose's Bulls this time around. And with that, it was time for Jay Crossover to hit the road again. After a sole year with the Trailblazers, in which Crawford led the entire league shooting 92.7% from the line, he signed with the Clippers, returning to the city he had spent much of his childhood in. With the Lob City Clippers, Crawford remained a force to be reckoned with. He finished runner-up for 6th Man of the Year in his first season, but won the award in year 2 with his 18.6 points and 3.2 assists per game. His handles were still silky as ever, allowing him to make an instant impact whenever he came into the game thanks to his elite shot creation ability. The Clippers made it to the playoffs both years, but fell to the Grizzlies in 2013 and a supremely talented Thunder in 2014. 2015 spelled another conference semifinals exit for LA, this time courtesy of the Rockets. In 2016, at 36 years old, Jamal Crawford made history, becoming the oldest player ever to win 6th Man of the Year. He averaged 14.2 points and 2.3 assists per game, but more impressively, he did it with increased efficiency and fewer minutes. Still a deadly isolation scorer, Crawford had evolved into a savvy veteran presence, guiding his team with experience and calm in their pursuit of playoff success. But after a dip in production the following season, Crawford found a new home in Minnesota. There, he became a glue guy for a young, rising squad, mentoring stars and rallying the locker room. His leadership didn't go unnoticed. He earned the Twyman Stokes Teammate of the Year award, proving his value went far beyond the stat sheet. For one final ride, Jamal Crawford headed back west to join the Phoenix Suns. In November, he dished out a career-high 14 assists, fittingly against one of his former teams. But the true magic came in April 2019 on a night meant to honor Dirk Nowitzki's farewell. Instead, Crawford stole the show. Coming off the bench, the 39-year-old erupted for 51 points, willing the Suns back into the game and rewriting the record books in the process. He became the oldest player in NBA history to drop 50+, surpassing none other than Michael Jordan. It was also the highest scoring bench performance ever, and made Crawford the first player to score 50 points for 4 different franchises. If that's not the perfect sunset moment, what is? Jamal Crawford's final NBA appearance came in the bubble, suiting up for the Brooklyn Nets in what would be his last official game. A fitting close to a career defined by creativity, resilience, and pure love for the game. With a record 3 6th Man of the Year awards, the 3rd most 4-point plays in history, and a long list of scoring milestones, both as a starter and off the bench, Crawford built a legacy that goes far beyond trophies. He overcame tough beginnings, adapted, evolved, and ultimately embraced his role as one of the league's most beloved spark plugs and mentors. No, he never won a championship. He never made an all-star team. He was never in the MVP or All-NBA conversation. But anyone who watched him knows Jamal Crawford was special. Whether his lack of accolades was circumstantial or due to flaws in his game is up for debate. What's not? His impact. He was smooth as silk, an elite ball handler, a true artist with the basketball, an inspiration to hoopers everywhere. Even he can admit it.
I actually wanted to know your thoughts on who's the best between you two.
They 6-6 right now.
But that wasn't a one-on-one game.
Okay.
It was actually 5-on-5. We were 1-1 in one-on-one.
I got you.
So we played twice.
Yeah. The conversation is Kyrie's the best, but I want to see what your thoughts are.
To be 1,000% with you, I think, and we talked about this, not specifically the best between us, but he's the only other person I've seen or talked to who sees the same things, what he's looking at when he's dribbling. What I mean by that is this. My feet, my hands, my mind are all one. So if you guys trapped me right now and I had a ball, I would look at a spot. And somehow, some way I would get to that spot. It didn't matter. I would do 3 moves over there to make you shift and get the ball. I just know where the spot is safe at. And he's the only other person that I've ever talked to that sees it like that. Like, I think a lot of people that handle the rock see it in like black and white. I think we see it in color. Or they see it straight, we see it like this.
But what do you think? Is Jamal Crawford still underrated? Let us know in the comments.